Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about what's possible will go wrong on your African safari. If you've been on an African safari before, then you know that anything can happen and it probably will. But there are some things that are almost guaranteed to happen on your safari. So today we're going to talk about those things that you should be prepared for. And if any of these things don't happen to you on your next trip, then consider yourself very lucky. So first off, animals will ignore you. This is actually one of my favorite things about going on safari. Even though I'm very familiar with all the animals in Africa, every time I go on safari, I see new behaviors from the animals. And one of the things that always surprises me is how completely unfazed animals are by human beings. Over the years, the animals have realized that humans aren't predators and they really couldn't care less about us. For example, when we were on safari in Kruger National Park last year, we saw this leopard that had climbed up into this tree and she was just hanging out there. And we sat there watching her for 20 minutes or so. And during that entire time, she didn't even acknowledge our presence. We were sitting right at the bottom of the tree where she was in. I think it was a sausage tree, but she could have cared less about us being there. She just hung out for a bit, and then she got down out of the tree and she walked away. And as she walked past our vehicle, she literally yawned at us. She wasn't even trying to hide her disdain for us. There was also another leopard that we saw recently in Sabi Sands that was laying on the road just soaking up the sun. Again, we stopped the car and we sat there and watched her for a while. She never acknowledged us. She just kind of looked at us for a second like, "Oh, are you going to give me a ride or something?" But after that, she went back to laying there and soaking up the sun. On a recent trip to Botswana, we were driving along and we saw this huge herd of elephants just grazing along the road. And of course, we stopped and we sat there and we watched them. One of the elephants, a young bull, came right up to our vehicle and he started pushing his tusks against the car like he was trying to push it over. And we sat there and we watched him doing that for 15 or 20 minutes. And the thing is, he literally could have gored our vehicle right through the side with those big tusks of his, but he didn't care. He was just pushing and pushing and pushing. And then finally, when he got tired of doing that, he just walked away and joined the rest of the herd. So there are a lot of stories like that I could tell, but I think you get the picture. The animals really do not care about us. And honestly, that's part of what makes going on safari so amazing. Next up, animals will steal your stuff. Now, this one can be kind of serious and it can also be kind of funny. Many people ask me, do I need to keep all of my stuff inside of the vehicle when I'm on safari? And the truth is, yes, you do. When we were on safari in Kruger National Park a couple of years ago, a baboon snatched a cooler full of drinks right off the back of our vehicle. And thankfully, they didn't get away with it. Another time in Kruger, a warthog took a plastic cup right out of my hands. And believe me, I was not expecting that. It was kind of embarrassing, but it was also pretty comical. In Botswana, we saw a monkey snatch a hat off of somebody's head. And again, this is another story I could go on and on with. I think you get the picture. The animals will steal your stuff if you let them. They're not above stealing food, water, hats, sunglasses, anything. So definitely keep your stuff inside of the vehicle whenever possible. Now, let's move on to something that is guaranteed to happen on your safari, and that is the weather will do what it wants to do. When I talk to people who have never been on safari before, they often ask me, what's the best time of year to go on safari? And my answer to that question is it depends on what you want to see. For example, in Kruger National Park, the best time to go is during the dry season, which is from about May through October. But that's because I prefer seeing wildlife in open areas, like seeing predators hunting. And that's easier to see in the dry season. However, if you wanted to see lots of baby animals, then you'd want to go in the opposite season. So the wet season would be a better time for that. And no matter what time of year you choose to go on safari, be prepared for the fact that the weather will change rapidly and frequently. Here in Texas, we say if you don't like the weather, just wait 5 minutes and it'll change. And that's kind of the way it is in Africa as well. You might start off the day with beautiful blue skies and temperatures in the 70s. And within an hour, you could be dealing with thunderstorms, heavy rain, and temperatures in the 50s. So be prepared for anything. One of the most dramatic changes in weather that I ever experienced on safari was in northern Tanzania. We were driving from a camp to a different camp and the drive between the two camps was about 45 minutes. And as we were driving along, the sky started to darken. And by the time we arrived at the new camp, it was literally nighttime. It was pitch black. It was cold and it was raining. We were literally driving in a torrential downpour, and then suddenly, bam, we went from daylight to nighttime. I remember thinking, how in the world are we supposed to see any animals in this weather? Well, we got to the camp and we checked in and we sat down and waited for the skies to clear up a little bit, and about 15 minutes later, we were back out in the vehicle with a night guide, and we started looking for nocturnal animals, and it was one of the best game drives I've ever been on. We saw tons of nocturnal animals. So just be prepared for the fact that the weather can change rapidly and frequently, and oftentimes unexpectedly. And also, be flexible with your expectations. Just because it's raining doesn't mean you see a and go on safari and have an incredible time. And speaking of things changing unexpectedly, the next one is your camera gear will fail you at the worst possible moment. This happens to all of us. No matter how many times you go on safari, your camera gear will fail you at the worst possible moment. It could be your camera battery dies, or your memory card fills up, or your lens breaks, or you just see a and get your camera to focus. Whatever it is, it will happen to you at some point on your African safari. And I think the reason that this happens is because we get excited. When you go on safari, there's a lot of excitement. The adrenaline is pumping, and that excitement causes us to make mistakes. For example, I've had batteries that were fully charged the night before, but for some reason on the morning of the safari, the batteries wouldn't work. And I think that's because I left the batteries in the hot vehicle overnight, and that caused them to lose their charge. Or sometimes you get so excited about the animal that you trying to photograph that you forget to switch your memory card to the empty slot. And of course, when you realize that you forgot to do that, you just shot your last photo on your memory card, you're going to feel pretty stupid. So just be prepared for the fact that your camera gear will fail you at the worst possible moment. But there is one thing you can do to prevent this from happening to you, and that is to go on safari with a guide who knows the area really well. A good guide is going to help you get to the hot spots, so you're not wasting time trying to find the animals. And a good guide is also going to help you find the best photographic opportunities, so you're not missing out on the perfect photo because you're in the wrong spot. A good guide is also going to help you with your camera settings. If you're struggling to get your camera to focus, or your shutter speed is too slow, or your ISO is too high, a good guide is going to help you adjust those settings so that you can get the best photos possible. So if you're going on safari for the first time, definitely go with a reputable company that has excellent guides. So those are 4 things that are guaranteed to happen on your safari, but there's one other thing that I want to mention. Going on safari for the first time can be very overwhelming. There's so much to see and do and experience, and there's a lot to learn. There's a lot of new terminology, new animals, new landscapes. So if you're going on safari for the first time, definitely go with a reputable company that has excellent guides. A good guide is going to help you get to the hot spots, so you're not wasting time trying to find the animals. A good guide is also going to help you find the best photographic opportunities, so you're not missing out on the perfect photo because you're in the wrong spot. A good guide is also going to help you with your camera settings. If you're struggling to get your camera to focus, or your shutter speed is too slow, or your ISO is too high, a good guide is going to help you adjust those settings so that you can get the best photos possible. So if you're going on safari for the first time, definitely go with a reputable company that has excellent guides. Well, thanks for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give us a like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. We're going to be back next week with another video. Until then, take care, and we'll see you soon.